For 9 and 10, all we need to do is, you see I changed this. We're not using a trig table. We can go ahead and use a calculator, and then we're not going to round it to 4 decimal places. We're just going to round it to 1 decimal place. And then again, just remember whatever calculator you're using, make sure it's in degrees. And then type in the value, sine of 10. Make sure you close the parentheses. That would be 0.2. And then do cosine of 80, 0.2, tangent of 50, 1.2, sine of 65, 0.9, tangent of 40, 0.8. I'll briefly talk about why it says to round to 4 decimal places. If instead of using tangent of 40, if you wanted to use a number, it is better. The further out you go, the more accurate it is. But because we're able to type in tangent of 40 into our problems, and you'll see later, you don't necessarily need to write it out to 4 decimal places. I'll never replace tangent of 40 degrees with the decimal. I'll leave it typed into the calculator that way. So let's look at 11 and 12. I gotta do 10 just like that. I don't think I need to do 10. So 11 and 12. So here's 11. It says to the nearest tenth of a foot, how tall is a building 100 feet away? So they tell us right here, D is 100. If the top is sighted at a 20 degree angle, that's N. So here's 20 degrees. So we basically have a right triangle here, and we're looking for the height of the building. We're looking for the height of the building, right? What we have to do is find a trig ratio, or use a trig ratio that uses these sides to find this missing angle, or this missing side length. For example, like we know this is the hypotenuse. I'm not going to write that in because I don't have any info here. This leg down here is the adjacent leg because it's next to 20 degrees. This leg across here is the opposite leg because it's across the 20 degree angle. So if you look at the trig ratios, the one that uses opposite and adjacent, that's the tangent ratio. Opposite and adjacent uses these two sides. Okay, so we know, tangent of the angle 20 degrees is equal to the opposite, is equal to the ratio opposite over adjacent. Opposite is x, and adjacent is 100. So that's the equation we set up. And then to solve it, super simple. Remember, put a 1 under here, cross multiply these two numbers, divide by that third outside number, and then that gives you x. So again, tangent of 20 times 100. And technically you could put divided by 1 in there. I'm not going to, because when you divide by 1 you get the same number back. And that's 36.4. And it is feet, but for now I'm just going to leave it at 36.4. Right now I'm more interested in you getting the number. Okay. And then number 12, same thing with number 12. It says when I went kite flying the other day, I managed to let out an entire roll of string, 400 feet. Well, you guys realize this is the string, right? So that measures 400. If the string, when pulled tight, formed a 40 degree angle with the ground, so if you pulled it tight, it would form a 40 degree angle with the ground. But how high was the kite? So they want to figure out how high up was the kite. So if you look here, here is the right triangle. And again, if we focus on this acute angle, I know this side of the triangle is the hypotenuse. This side is the opposite leg. And again, I know it's the opposite leg because this leg down here is the adjacent leg to 40. This one's next to it. So if you think of the three ratios, opposite hypotenuse, here's opposite hypotenuse, that sine. It can only be this one because this one's adjacent hypotenuse and this one is opposite adjacent. There's only one of them that uses these two, sine. So then we can say we know sine of the angle, that's 40 degrees, is equal to the ratio of the opposite leg divided by the hypotenuse. Again, remember to solve this, all you need to do, put a 1 under it, cross multiply in the direction where you get two numbers, and divide by that third number. So watch. It's going to be sine of 40 degrees, close my parentheses, times 400, and then divided by 1. Again, I can leave off the divided by 1 for now, because, well, anything divided by 1 is the thing back. So like any number divided by 1 is the same number. And that's 257.